Hey everyone, Glenn Flutie here again. On the last video, we talked about the fly rods that I like to use. So for this one, we're going to talk about the fly lines that I like to use. As you can see, there are 3 different manufacturers here. Now, there are many different companies that make great fly lines, but the 3 in front of you are the ones that I use most often. I fish various conditions, and not one line works perfectly for me in all those conditions. So let's talk about those conditions and which line I prefer for them. First is clear water. Whether I'm on the ocean side or in Florida Bay, I love this Cortland Liquid Crystal 12-weight clear floating fly line. This is a wonderful line. It throws really, really well. And also early mornings and late afternoons, when you're throwing in conditions where you can't see the fish, but you might see 1 or 2 roll here or there, this gives you the opportunity to throw at that fish and quite possibly not spook the other fish that you don't see. So when you're in those type of conditions, I would highly recommend the Cortland Liquid Crystal. Now, I also fish conditions in Florida Bay to where the fish are a little bit lower in the water column. A lot of times the fish are just underneath it within 6 inches or so, but these fish are a foot down, 2 feet down, and sometimes 3 feet down. So instead of weighting my fly, I like to use a fly line that allows it to sink down to it. I don't want a full sinking line, so I go to this Rio. This Rio Sink Tip Stealth Tip line is a wonderful line. They call it Stealth Tip because it's got a clear tip. It's a full floating line. Other than the clear tip, the rest of it, you can see the line. This is a great line. It allows my fly to get down fast to the fish and get to their level. And we're going to talk about the importance of that a little bit later when I talk about hook setting. This is a really, really good line, and I would recommend that when you have fish at lower levels, go to this line. Now, most of the time during the day, in most situations that I'm faced, other than a sink tip line or when I need the clear line, I love the Scientific Angler Grand Slam. This again is a floating 12-weight line. It's color coded. It's not a clear line, but it throws exceptionally well, very easy. This is a line that I would highly recommend for any beginner, intermediate, or expert anglers as it throws really far, really fast. I've been able to load rods with two false casts, and I could throw 80 feet with this thing on a dime. This is a very good line. So I'd recommend this for all kinds of different conditions. So let's talk about the fly reel that I like to use. As I fight a fish primarily only using the drag, it's important for me to know exactly where I am as I set the drag as a relation to maybe 2 pounds of pressure, 4 pounds of pressure, 5, 6, and then 8. I never fight a fish harder than 8, and 8 is really, really a tough drag. The problem I've had with a lot of different reels in the past is the drag knob. You needed to turn it multiple turns, multiple complete turns before you started to get any resistance on a drag. That always left me a little concerned on really where I was in relation to the amount of drag I was actually using. Hardy has come out with the new Regent reel. And what I really, really like about this reel is 1, it's very light. 2, it's a large arbor reel. This is the 10,000. This is what I use for tarpon fishing. It's got a nice large arbor for quick pickup. It's smooth as silk, and its drag is also very smooth. So when the tarpon goes, there's no startup, there's no oomph before it goes. It's very smooth, which allows the fish just to take back off. But the biggest thing I like about this is I love this 1 single turn drag. Like I said, in future episodes, we're going to talk about fighting a fish on a drag. But because it's a 1-turn drag, it allows me to use different presets to know exactly where I am with just a few clicks. So again, reels, it's your preference. But for me, since I like to fight the fish on the drag, this Hardy Regent reel, the 10,000, is the reel for me. So at the end of the day, it's really important for me to take my fly rod and reel and spray it off with a hose. Now, I don't take the reel and dunk it, but I just simply spray it off with a hose, and then I bring the rod and reel in the house. I strip my fly line out into the sink, put some water in there and just kind of fluff it around a little bit, and then I'll use a rag and pull it out and dry it, get all the water off the fly line. Every 3 days, I then take this Umpqua Glide. I like this Umpqua Glide. I've been using this for many, many years. Every 3 days, I will then put some of this on a paper towel. I will run the fly line through it all in one direction, put a little bit more on it, run it back in the other direction, give it 5 or so minutes, let it dry, and then I will take a rag and I'll lightly just kind of run it through that rag. This allows that fly line to feel like brand new again. After about 3 days of salt, even though you clean it, when you use this, it flies through that rod again. And after all, We're trying to get that line out there as fast and accurate as possible. So don't neglect your fly line. So whether it's this manufacturer or somebody else's, I would highly recommend that you do that. So I hope this video has been helpful to you all. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, please email me at gflutie2@aol.com. Otherwise, go out and catch some fish.